Long time no see, finally got this one here. Yep, it's the upgraded version of last year FF04. Now it supports RTX 5080 FF04. Cool. What do you think of this look? Folks, seems like there's not much in the way of major changes here. So I just give you a quick rundown here of how much this new version differs from the one we had before. Okay? Here's the main exterior of this GPU. This is one I use at home from last year's model. So looking at it, these two cases seem to have the same dimensions. But the new GPU is about 4mm longer than the old one. So the whole case height has been raised a bit as a result. Once it's raised up, the length to width ratio has a very slight change. I find the new version looks more comfortable to me, honestly. And besides that, the monthly height of this GPU is a bit wider than the one from last year, about 14mm more. Give or take. So the left side L pillar here in the new version is just a bit narrower. And visually, this side looks a bit more balanced and full. Now, I think one thing worth noting here is that the GPU's look has changed as well. They added a wooden texture trim to one of the corner spots on it. And that wood grain trim, it is quite dark in color, and it pairs well with black. The overall feel and look of the whole unit has improved too. And once it's powered on, if I recall, right, there should be a glowing logo here, which would look quite nice as well. I think, let us check the front side now. The main change is that the air intake for the fan in the middle is lifted just a bit higher, and the front looks a tad more slender in its proportions. Now, in terms of looks, there's not much difference for the internal structure. The biggest change is tied to the GPU's height adjustment as well. The GPU's height increased by 4mm. Back then, the wiring spot that was a pain was right between the PSU and motherboard, where there was just so little space to route the cables through. Now it's raised a bit, so the gap between the power supply and motherboard is a bit bigger. That's why I redesigned the space inside the power bracket too. Now that it's redone, folks can just go ahead and do. The AC power extension inside plus the GPU power cable can now run through this groove from front all the way back. This way, the bottom wiring will be a bit more neat too. This GPU adapter block we used last year was because the graphics card's port was set too far out. So I just used the thinnest adapter block I could find at the time, you know? But that adapter, if it's installed just a bit loosely, then after some time, it tends to burn out and mess up the GPU's power supply stability. And now we're getting lots of RMA requests for this adapter. With this new pad graphics card, its power plug is retracted even further into the board now. So I can use a slightly higher, more stable version of that adapter block. And besides that, the metal bracket that holds the adapter in place is also shifted inward a bit because of the GPU's power ports. Now it can align better with the look, and there are some minor tweaks to the internal bits too. Last year, when we launched this case, there hadn't yet been the latest X870i and 890i motherboards available on the market. We found that the X870i boards have a huge backplate area, which can clash a bit with the routing of those extension cables. That meant some users had to remove the motherboard's backplate just to install it properly. In the new version, we made some fixes. Now you can install without removing the backplate on 890i and 870i motherboards, just like that. Did you notice that heatsink and fan in the video we just showed for the installation? An ID Cooling 67mm heatsink tower, plus this Cooler Master Mobius Slim 12x15 slim fan. That is the combo we are using here, folks. This combo should be the top tier 67mm push-down setup out there, but this fan, well, isn't officially sold here in our market just yet, though. And for that, heatsink the vendor doesn't sell it alone.com. He has bundled with that stock fan, you know, the one. So lately I ordered 1,000 Mobius Slim fans from Cooler Master, plus 500 of these IID cooling tower blocks for stock. So around early December, we'll list these for sale as well. I've got my FF04, the new FF04, and also FF07 and FF10 to handle here. For air cooling, folks, this setup here is the best choice by far, and this GPU they say will be out soon, and my case will be up for pre-order soon too. Those interested can just go ahead and follow. Though this GPU changed in size and made last year's cases incompatible, at least the port issue I mentioned earlier. The overall proportions plus the lift in height make for more space inside the chassis. Now, these little tweaks, I think the whole system is just a bit more polished than last year. So yeah, the changes are fine with me. No grudges here. I hope in 2 more years, with the RTX 60 series, they will keep this form factor and not change it again. Alright, that's about all for today's show, folks. See you. Thanks for your follow, folks. Bye then. Let me talk a bit more about this GPU. This RTX 5080 Prime card has the exact same size as this pad model, so it should fit in here quite nicely and look pretty seamless, too. But this GPU has just one rounded corner here, which fits better. The other side might not look as perfect as that Plus version we saw earlier, though. There's one more small thing you should be aware of, though. Our ASUS PA 5080 has a Type-C port at the bottom. On this Prime card, the matching spot is a DP port instead of Type-C. When working on this Type-C port, I had to make some trade-offs. At first, I thought, if I just left a DP port size gap, then the Type-C plug would fit too. That way, both cards could be more compatible. But I was thinking the style of this case I'm making is meant to perfectly match the look and details of this pack card. Everything else is just fine as it is. So this Type-C port here is just a big hole, and that feels kind of rough. And I think most folks who buy this case will want to install that product card. So I made that spot into a smaller Type-C port instead of a big one, just to be safe. So if folks try to cram this card in there anyway, one display port will end up blocked. That's all I can add for now, I guess. Thanks again for watching this long, folks, and thanks for your support. Goodbye now.